All right, I want to welcome everyone to today's analysis. Today is Wednesday, the 26th of March, 2025. We're having our morning
Morning,
analysis.
sir.
Good morning, sir. Just 7:06 a.m. Nigerian time. So we look at the fundamentals and we check the charts to see what the technicals have in store for us for today. Now, from the fundamentals in the night, in the course of the night by 1:30 a.m., there was a news from Australia. That's CPI yearly. CPI is Consumer Price Index, and it's not bad for the Australian dollar. Now, the next event is 8 a.m. this morning, which is just less than an hour from now. And we're equally having the CPI from the United Kingdom. Now, CPI is a major economic indicator because it measures the change in the price of goods and services purchased by consumers, and actual greater than forecast is always good for the currency. So by 8 a.m. this morning, uh, if the news comes out good for the pound, the data will be in color green. That's the actual, that will be the actual data. The forecast is 3.0%. If the actual is above 3.0%, that will be color green. And that would lead to a massive bullish movement on the British pound. But on the other hand, if the data comes out less than forecast, then that's less than 3.0 to being color red, and that will lead to a sharp decline in the dollar. So the data is good for the dollar. We look at buying, sorry, if it's good for the pound, pardon me, we look at buying the British pound. And if it's less than forecast and it's color red, we'll look at selling the British pound. But I'll still show on the chart the currency pairs, the specific currency pairs I'm looking at for this news event. Now, this is to be followed, this CPI is going to be followed by annual budget release. But this annual budget release is still tentative in this, it could happen in the course of the day, but there's no specific time allotted to it yet. So we just generally have to be careful with the pound, throughout the course of today's trading day. Later in the afternoon today by 1:30 p.m., there are the core durable good orders from the US, followed by durable good orders, both of them by 1:30 p.m. They are both medium impacted, but the combination of both of them will lead to some volatility in the market. So we should expect volatility on the dollar by 1:30 p.m. when this data will be released. Now, I'll flip over to the charts now to see what the technicals have in stock for the CPI and other technical setup we are looking at for today. Just a second. All right, so for this news from the United Kingdom, the CPI, I'll be putting a little of my attention on the GBP, New Zealand, and the GBP, JPY. Those two might react better to this news we are anticipating. So I'm just trying to search out my GBP New Zealand. All right, so this instrument, I've been looking at it in the last like 2 weeks thereabout now. We have a perfect rising wedge on it, and in the last couple of weeks, there's been, at least on the weekly time frame, seen a kind of a range around the upper part there. And if we flip down to the daily time frame, on the daily time frame, this is actually what got me fascinated with this pair. I'm seeing what looks like a position that is close to a head and shoulder, which may lead to a drop, but that's still futuristic. But then in the last couple of days, even though there's been a range around the part, there is equally a range on the daily time frame, which is the upper part of that range being a resistance. That the price has not broken out above that level. You can see we have a perfect range here. And with the fact that on the upper hand, as in the weekly time frame, the equally average, it's clearly that we're having a resistance uphill price has not been able to break so far. So technically, I'm looking for an opportunity to sell this instrument right from the weekly to daily, even to 4 hour time frame. So I'll be anticipating a scenario where the data comes out. And sorry, another reason why I'm looking for an opportunity to sell this. If you look at this rising wave pattern, price has done a higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. The next wave of higher high, the next wave should be a higher low. So a combination of these, factors makes me look towards a more bearish outlook GBP New Zealand. So if the data comes out by 8 o'clock and it's actually less than forecast, I'll be looking to sell the GBP New Zealand. And if I'm selling this instrument, I may be looking at possibly the next support level here as a profit taking level. It's not really a must. If price gets there, fine. If it doesn't, but let's look, that will yield over 100 pips. But even if it's just 30, 50, 70 pips you can catch, that should just be enough. So I'm bearish on GBP New Zealand, and I'm equally bearish on the GBP JPY. But I will say my first instrument I'm looking at is actually the GBP New Zealand. That's actually the major one. The GBP JPY is just a secondary one I'm also looking at. For the GBP JPY, on the weekly time frame, we have a descending trend line there with a resistance, and price closed as a rejection candle last week. Though it looks like the bullish pressure is yet to be over, but this week now from Monday, it's not really sold as expected in terms of buying, but it's still, it's bought back way up to the confluence of the trend line and the resistance. So it's still at a critical point from where we will actually expect a kind of a reversal. So this is the daily. You can see still that trend line dropping, resistance, rising wedge, and taking it down to 4 hour is still the same. So if the data comes out, actually is forecast also at GBP JPY. But like I said, the main one I'm looking at is the GBP New Zealand. So I'm bearish on the GBP New Zealand ahead of the news. Well, that's the CPI from the United Kingdom by 8 a.m. this morning. It's roughly some 47 minutes from now that data. All right, so that's all for the fundamental. For the news from the United States by 1:30 p.m., the afternoon analysis will take care of that. So I think to get into details of that. Now, as regards the technicals, on Monday, I dropped an analysis on I think it was on all the groups on GBP AUD. Okay, Solomon is asking GBP AUD exactly. Just want to give us an update on that. Trying to read it. GBP AUD. Okay. This is GPA. Oh, I think it's looking messed up. So let me just clean it off and possibly start it. Okay. I remember in the analysis I said it that price hit a resistance on the daily time, sorry, this 4 hour time frame, and I said it formed a kind of a head shoulder. Then that it dropped. It actually broke out just as I anticipated. 1 hour settle. The entry was somewhere around here. It actually dropped some pips, retraced, dropped some 50 pips, retraced up, then it's still trying to make its way down. So if you are still on that trade, like the person asking, you can still hold it. If the news comes out, less than forecast, yeah, that will also, lead to a further drop in it. But if you're already on it and if you're on it, you should be in profit by now. I will advise you also make sure you put the stop loss, at least if the stop loss at the entry price, just to protect the account in case the news outcome does not go as expected. So make sure you have the stop loss in place and put it at the entry price, so that if at all the news comes out bad, you close at the entry and wouldn't, and make any loss at all. So that's an obvious on the analysis. I also give an analysis on Monday about the JPY specifically using the JPY, and I think I did drop a signal, but so far price is yet to get to that level. It's a swing setup. I'm still hopeful we will get a reversal. I still see this section here as a head, this region as a shoulder and the drop. But we're still looking. It's swing. Swing trading is for the fashion for those who can be patient, like so that the patient don't believe. So swing trader will wait. But then if you see intraday, like I always tell us, let us do. That's just the update on the funds analysis we've given same times. But then let's now go to the other setup we have for today. I have two setup today. One is intraday. Sorry, two is intraday, one is swing. So this will cater for all types of traders, either as a day trader or a swing trader. This will cover both type of trading. Good morning, Mr. Steven. Welcome on board. So I'll start with the AUDJPY. Now, like I said, from my outlook at the beginning of the week, I was bearish on the JPY pair. But then, as a trader, it's not about being right, it's about following where the market is going. Now, I'm seeing a new kind of setup on the AUDJPY, and I just want to show you what I'm seeing. Just a second. Okay, I'm not finding it here. So I'll open a fresh chart for the AUD JPY. Okay, this are stocks. Okay, it's here. All right. So this is what I'm seeing as a new outlook for the AUD JPY. We have a trend line right here. And we have a second trend line at the back, right here. All right, so this is looking a lot like a symmetrical triangle, and the price can break out in either direction. If it breaks out upwards, we buy. If it breaks out to the downside, which was the earlier analysis, sell. So we're following what the market is saying at the moment. So we have a symmetrical triangle on the AUD/JPY on the 4-hour. This is strictly for swing traders. So if price breaks out, price seems to be approaching the upper trend line. If it breaks out above here, clearly above the trend line with the RSI clearly above 50. Currently, RSI is above 50. That's 62. And MACD is even already above 0. So it's already trying to get to the bullish trend. So if price breaks out with a new candle above that trend line, you can safely trigger a buy on the AUD JPY. The price may target the highest point there. It will take some time, I would say, to require to be very patient. And it all depends on a little more patience, whether you're able to hold off for that long run. And that could be as much as about 190 pips. But then if you can catch some 50, 70, 100 pips, that should just be enough. What matters is you pick some profit from it. And if on the other hand, price reverses downwards and breaks out below this lower trend line, you can look for an opportunity for yourself. So that's one beautiful thing about this symmetrical triangle. Wherever price breaks out, that's where the market is going. Yeah, the sell may not produce as much as the buy, but then it's still going to be profitable. Say, with the sell, you can catch us what 160 pips, just 30 pips difference. So we have a symmetrical triangle for our time frame. We'll expect a breakout, anytime. It will be today, maybe in the morning or afternoon or later in the day, whatever I have. Just look at it critically. Make sure if it's a buy, it breaks out above. RSI is already above 50, might be above. If it is a sell, on the other hand, if price reverses downwards, then you also need to ensure that your RSI is below 50. It's not mandatory market should be below 0. That will take a longer time, but it's important that if it's a sell, price breaks out below the lower trend line and your RSI crosses below 50 mark. That's very important. So that's my outlook on AUD and JPY. Now, other pairs I want to show us today, I'll be showing us the CAT CHF and the US oil, and both of them are on 1 hour. They are 1 hour time frame setup. So I'll look for both of them now. All right, so I found the US oil. All right, so this is the US oil on the daily time frame. Okay, Eddie Steven is saying my mic is low. Is that true? Is my mic low? Please, I need our feedback. Is my mic low?
It's not low, sir, but at times your voice goes down.
Okay, at times my voice goes down, but now it's very clear.
Very clear, yes, sir.
Okay, so maybe I need to move it closer to this.
The mic is low, sir.
The mic is low.
Yes.
Well, you can hear me now.
Yes, we can hear you very well.
Okay, but somebody is saying it's low, so I know. And
it's only at times it goes.
And that actually could be network, because I'm actually using, it's not the regular mic, it's a podcast mic I'm using, and it's quite loud, the desktop mic.
Okay.
So
thank you.
It could be the network. It's making it.
So your mic is okay, your mic is not low.
Thank you very much, sir. So my end is okay. So I think probably for some, maybe the device you're using, you might just increase the volume also from your end so that you can hear me clearly. It's all right, all good. So for the US oil, this is my outlook for the US oil. Now, this is US oil on the daily time frame. We have price trading around the previous support zone on the daily time frame, and trend line dropping from the daily, where price has touched the trend line the first time here, the second time, and we have a touch where price touched the candle of yesterday, the trend line touching the candle of yesterday. So technically, with both the support term resistance and the trend line, looking at a possible reversal. And the candle for yesterday actually closed more or less like a kind of a rejection candle. Yeah, like a doji. This is a doji. So all this points to the fact that we will have a bearish reversal of the US oil. So we flip down to the 1 hour. Let's go down to the 4 hour. We don't really have much information on the 4 hour. The 1 hour is a lot clearer. Now, on the 1 hour, I'm seeing a shoulder, a second shoulder that should lead to a drop. Not only that, we also have a rising wedge pattern right here. So the moment price is able to break out of the trend line of the rising wedge, the new candle breaking out below, or preferably still below that support zone, which is the neckline, and that will be preferable, and ready to trigger itself on the US oil. And this is expected to happen in the course of today. This is a 1 hour setup. So I see this one happening in the course of today. So I'm bearish on the US oil for today. And I'm expecting some good move on this, on this setup. You might put, if I'm going to put a sell-stop order, the rule is to use the tip of the candle around the neckline region. So you might just put 2 trades, a sell-stop order, 2 trades, target TP1 at Fibonacci 50 and TP2 at Fibonacci 61.8. And I think you can do that straight away. So we'll do a sell stop US oil still stop at 68.735. TP1 will be at 68.089. TP2 will be at 67.717, and stop loss right, so we do a ratio 1 to 1 for our stop loss. Normally, it should actually be above the Fibonacci 0. That's a way large. So let's just look at something more reasonable. The ratio 1 between the entry and the first take profit. All right, so stop loss is 69.393. Now trade this instrument with a lot of caution. And trade with caution. Don't trade with a high lot size. It's can be volatile. So trade with caution and practice proper risk management. Use a lower lot compared to what you expect currency. So if, for example, your account can carry 0.1 currency, you can use 0.05 in this because it can be volatile. I will get that. All right, so that's US oil there. I will also post it on the other groups precisely before the client. That's the second. How to post to the funded group. All right, so that is done. Okay, so finally, I'll look at CAT CHF. That's equally another intra-trade intraday setup. The intraday setup that I have. CAT CHF. All right, so this is CAT CHF on the daily time frame. And we have a support zone here, and price, broke that support and is acting as a resistance. So we expect, a decline in price. Now, this may just be a retracement in the real sense of it, but because you can see from the previous candle from the weekly time frame, this is actually a rejection candle, which may lead to a long-term bullish movement. So whatever we're seeing as a kind of a sell on CAD CHF should be taken as a retracement. It's a short-term movement, and it should just be treated as such. And see, that's a very valid support zone right there on the weekly time frame. So go to the daily 4 hour, finally go back on 1 hour. And on the 1 hour time frame, we have a trend line right here, and second one at the back to give us a rising wedge pattern. So if in the course of today price breaks out downwards, which is what we anticipate, the new candle below this region be able to trigger a sell on CAD CHF. And at that point, you need to confirm that your RSI is clearly below 50. Very, very important. It's not mandatory market should cross. At least your RSI should be below 50. And that's just it. So we have a resistance support on resistance on the daily with a rising wedge on 1 hour. We're expecting a breakout in the bearish direction. So we're bearish on the CAD CHF. All right, that'll be all from my end this morning. If you look at the analysis for the upcoming move by 8 a.m., and we're putting a lot of our attention to GBP New Zealand. It's bearish both from the weekly, the daily, and the hour time frame. That's where we're putting our main focus for the news. So we anticipate a bearish movement, which means that if the data comes out bad for the pound, we're looking to sell the GBP New Zealand. And for technicals, I've analyzed 3 instruments this morning. The AUD/JPY on the 4 hour time frame, which is a symmetrical triangle, meaning that price can break out in either direction. So if price breaks out above the trend line, we buy. If it breaks out below, we sell. And on the 1 hour time frame, we looked at the US oil, where we're looking at an opportunity to sell. I've got a signal on that right here and in the format line group. And finally, I looked at the CAD CHF 1 hour, where we're anticipating a sell. Though I said it will likely be a retracement, bigger on the 2 time frame. We're actually anticipating a long-term buy, but there will be a retracement at some peaks on the CAD CHF. All right, so that's all for my analysis. I'll take some of the movements we have here as we gradually begin to round up. So Francis is asking, please analyze gold for the day. Gold's my favorite. Okay, so we'll look at gold. All right, so gold has not been, volatile, breaking out in recent last couple of days. Currently, it's in a range. It did this head and shoulder earlier, broke out, retraced, dropped, hit the resistance. Don't forget this resistance level has been holding from this region, the support, sorry, the neckline of that head and shoulder. That is where this resistance has been coming from. And price is back to that resistance. So currently, gold is trading within a range bound by a resistance above and a support below. So gold is in a range. So the next wave, technically speaking, the next wave is it should make its way down. But that's when there's also a clear-cut setup to back up that view. But generally within the view of a range, this is how a range price goes up and down within the pattern. That's normally how it works. But currently, I'm not, let's go down 15 minutes. On this 1 hour, I'm not really seeing any thing that is pointing it down until it happens. Price may just hit this resistance zone, then we will see an opportunity, probably a candlestick or something that will point us into a bearish direction. We technically will say we are bearish, but then we need to go for a clear-cut setup to be able to keep the trade. Is this signal a swing trade? No, the signal I drop is not a swing trade. It's intraday. That's for the US oil. It's not swing. It's within the day. It should trigger within the course. Don't forget we're having physical training tomorrow at both the Abuja and Lagos offices. So if you stay around Abuja and its environment and Lagos, please come over to the office to get trained. The address of PU from Abuja office is at Work and Connect Building, 50 Ebitu Ukiwe Street, Jabi, Abuja. And Lagos address is Lagos Executive Business Lounge at 54 Biadeni Jones Avenue, Ikeja, Lagos. So if you're around Abuja or it's around, just make your way. People as Nyanyan, Efi, other places that are not too far from Abuja, find a way to the office to get training. And if you live in Lagos, Mowe, Baja, all those places, find your way to the office. And if you don't have an account with your friend, go ahead and open a live trading account at our address, website PU Prime, www.puprime.com. All right, so we say again in the course of the day, don't forget there's news CPI from the United Kingdom by 8 a.m. We're looking to sell the pound if the data comes out as actual less than pound. I'm trading the GDP New Zealand. Take care and have a great day ahead. Bye-bye.
Hello?